Hope you're doing well. If not, as always, I hope it gets better for you. So we are vertical for some reason tonight, but it is what it is. And maybe we'll get to horizontal next time. But the whole reason why we're even here, come here, kitty, is to answer your guys' questions, whatever it may be, with freshwater aquarium keeping. For those who follow me, know I do it a bit different and have lots of experience with lots and lots of tanks and have for a long time and have been doing it ways that, a lot of people haven't. So, like going full out, no filter fish room. And, you really got to know what you're doing to do that. Technically, even though you could do it if you just had faith in it. That's the thing about my filterless fish room is the fact that a lot of people, I hate to say it, they just ain't got the balls to do it or try it. And you would be surprised how well it actually works. But, anyways, enough about me. We're here for your guys' questions. So, if you guys have questions, throw them out there. If not, as always, I'll ramble on. Johnny Best says, LRB just noticed some baby Insuka in my 20-gallon long, heavily planted. As I was decorating, I seen one come out from dwarf Sagittaria. That is always awesome and one of the funnest things about keeping aquariums, especially if you're getting a fish and you want it to breed out, and that anticipation sometimes it can just be like no other because who knows when it's going to happen. But when you see them pop out of the Sagittaria like that, that's cool that you got them community breeding in there. A lot of people don't realize a lot of the bundle pancheks type of killies, like the Sheelies I've got on the website right now. I know they'll colony breed. Um, the Insukas, they'll colony breed. Like, you won't get a whole lot of numbers out of them, but you will get like trickle babies here and there. So you'll get like a few that trickle out, and it's cool to watch it just kind of grow as an ecosystem because your plants are going to be growing, your fish are going to be growing. It's going to become a community of themselves, and it's really cool and neat. So that's awesome for you, Johnny. Hello, hello, you guys. Good to see you guys in here. Sonny G says, "Howdy, Lucas. The trout goodies and the plants from Sarah I got recently are doing well. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for the support and helping out because you guys help drive pretty much all this. YouTube really doesn't pay me much anymore, and it's pretty much the website that really does it all. So, and the members. Thank you, thank you, thank you, members. You guys have been a huge help. So, um, I have updated the website. I think, yeah, I did add, I think there's like 15 trout goodies left. So if you're looking for those, there's killifish on there and a bunch of plants, bunch of stuff. LRBAquatics.com. Usually mention that stuff towards the end, but we'll do it now. Empire Dirt Aquatics, member for 43 months. Jeff Kane, thank you, brother, and for all the support and memberships you've given throughout time here. Much, much, much appreciated. But I actually, some of you guys may know from my last live stream, I still kind of sound stuffy and I still got a little bit of cough here and there, but I wasn't feeling well. And that's why I didn't get to my lives like I normally do. And it was weird because, like, anything with vinegar, like ketchup, barbecue sauce, honey mustard, anything with vinegar just tasted like smelled and tasted so weird to me. So I had to deal with that for a while. But besides that, I'm getting better now. Spent some time with the family and actually been doing the first water changes in a really, really long time in the fish room. And that feels really good to be getting done because the tanks were kind of getting stale from not having their water changes. And if the plants don't really get those water changes, it's hard to get them to grow as well. Like, you could do it for a while, but this, I mean, it's been I don't even know how long for a lot of those things. Longer than I can even freaking remember. So it was good to get water changes going, and happy about that. How's the Ponderosa project going? So the screen in area, I haven't really done much with that because I got my pumps plumbed in, and then I've been trying to move water since then and spend time with the family this week. So it's been a balance of that, and I'm hoping here after this weekend, that's when the grinding back onto the screened in Ponderosa project, as you called it, will be back in more effect. I got to do the center poles for all of them, and I've got them lined out, so they're ready to go. And I want to make sure they're as straight as possible, so I don't have to like deal with fixing it down the road. Try, if you're gonna do it right. But I got a lot of it lined up. It's just getting the time scheduled in for it. I'm still trying to get the practice of water changes done. Like it's been a long time since I really maintained my aquariums and had to do that. Like it flies by now. It definitely goes pretty quick with the water change system. And I got to get in and start getting this algae and just cleaning things up and making it actually look nice. So I'm going to try to mesh that in as well with that project here this next like couple weeks. Thomas G, member for 67 months. That is a long time. How many years is that? I can't even do math now. 48, 65. So 5 and 7 months, 5 years. That's wild. That is wild, dude. Hats off to you, my man. And you've been awesome, awesome, huge support for so long. Coming in clutch, especially on building this fish room, getting it built in. Dude, you're a huge support. Joe MTL says, how often should new stock be added to a cherry shrimp colony? I started with one male and two females. Now their children are having babies. How many generations before they have issues? So that's actually a really good question. I haven't done it with a minimal of like two. It's usually something like 10 or something. I think like the least has probably been six. But what I've learned from keeping shrimp lines, if you want a really good solid line, you have to call out the imperfections and keep the good genetics changing. And if you were to get some cherry shrimp from somebody else and say you have like shrimp like mine that have been lined out and they actually line out pretty well as far as how they breed, if I mix a lesser colony or shrimp into that, it will play a big role in the genetics as it comes down and what gets bred out. So if you're just keeping, you're probably not going to care about that. But if you're actually looking to sell and like compete in competitions, then I would say you go stick with your line and never add to it. So pretty much you don't have to worry about it. I've never had any issue with it. I've had my lines. You guys know. I mean, shoot. Um, yeah, at least 8 years, and I don't add to my lines for nothing. And I have done it. I did it like a long, long time ago, and that's where I learned my lesson. Deacon Bean Cooter does the substrate. Oh, and talking about shrimp too. Shrimp and substrate actually makes one of the biggest differences when getting better genetics out of shrimp or what they're actually showing. Because they will change and try to disguise through their backgrounds. Like for instance, blue dreams, they need to be on a white substrate, the blue neocardinas, those types, because if you put them in the dark substrate, they'll start getting black spots. They'll literally like start pulling these camouflages out of themselves. And then cherry shrimp, for instance, if you put them on a light substrate, they're going to wash out compared to if you put them on a dark substrate. But Deacon Bean Cooter says, does the substrate name brand wear out over time? How long my plants all of a sudden? I don't. You didn't put name brand in there, so I don't know what brand it is or what kind of substrate. But a lot of substrate. So actually, this is a big thing too. So when it comes to substrate, you do have those power soils. Say you have the brand name like the ADA or like Brightwell, something like that. That aqua power soil that has humic value to it, and it creates more acidity, which actually helps plants break down the mineralization. Well, that stuff grows plants like steroids, and it's really good. But if it does lose its acidity and it loses that effect, then you'll see it in your plants, and then it becomes more of a substrate that, like, say you're keeping sand or pea gravel or even just some dirt. Um, I use my yard dirt for pretty much most of my tanks. I do have some tanks that have the power soils in them. Plants do absolutely phenomenal in those, way better compared to my others. But my others are fine. They're just more steady and they don't grow as fast. So it also depends on what you're looking for because there is balance to how fast your plants grow. So, say you're growing your plants too fast and you got a ton of tanks, can you manage it? So, having tanks that grow slower can be more manageable. So, it all depends on how much maintenance you want to do to your aquarium. So, I don't know how much I would worry about it. And if you do want that like extra boost back into your aquarium from that sort of substrate, you could either just top it off. I don't know how deep you have it. You can just add some on top. And I usually do that when I do a water change and the water levels drop, and then try to just drop the substrate on top of the old substrate. But try to get it as close to the ground so it's not like pelting, falling through the volume, the water volume. Because if it's just falling through the water volume, it'll get really dirty looking sometimes and can cause more of a mess than what you want. But if you keep it right on the on top of the substrate, right at the surface as you're laying it in there, then it just kind of like spreads out real smooth and even, doesn't really make such a mess. And or you got to do a FERT regimen, which I would recommend learning EI, estimated index fertilization formulas. That's a whole nother ball game in itself. But once you learn that kind of stuff, you can. That's how these aquascapers keep those like super nice tanks and like really, really, really lush growing tanks. And they usually have to trim every week too. I know these things because I used to do it. That is awesome, Rosie. You found a little baby pea puffer today. A little puffer tank. A little butterball. That is exciting. Brady T says, "Hey LRB, can you grow Valbakopa and Luigia reapens red in a really low light tank?" You can. Those three tanks really, or those three plants don't really need that much to light. The only thing with the Luigia repens is it'll probably be more green than red. When you get the higher light, that's when you get a lot more of the red out of the reapens. But the Val and the Bacopa, they can pretty dang near grow into the dark or just with ambient light. Because if you look out in the wild too, you'll actually find that around in a lot of places under the shade. Dun, 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 dun. Tank chug. Watch sucking the hose too hard, Lucas. Yeah, I mean, I might still be dealing with some of that stuff from when I did suck all that water down into my lungs. I don't know. But it was a good amount of water that, I'm pretty sure that's not good for your lungs. Mario Velasco says, "What's up, Lucas? Hope you're doing great. How do you sex the Gmax?" So, usually by the shape of them. So, the females will be more skinnier, the males will be more broader, and you do have to wait till they get older. Um, the males tend to have more like pattern and color to them, but the females they're more slender, and that's the same with most all rainbows. As far as like the bigger types of rainbows, which they're not real big, but like the melanitanias, the chilinotherinias, glossolepis, those type. I actually have a few. No, no, no. I'm not going to say that yet. I think I have a few that I could sell. You guys know me. I mean, I have troubles letting go of some fish. Leopardo0573 says, Lucas, what is your standard quarantine procedure when you get new fish? How long do you keep them in quarantine and what meds do you use? So, when it comes to new fish, and it really depends on where I get it too. If I'm getting it from a club or a hobbyist, a fellow breeder, I don't have to worry about it so much, and I hardly ever have issues at all with them. But what I always do with any fish that I get, now if I get it from the store, I'm gonna assume that I'm gonna get ick, and I usually put a heater in with those fish, get that off the bat. But before all that, even to help to not get ick, which helps a lot, is I give these things called fish baths. I do have a video called LRB Fish Baths where I show how I give my fish a bath if you want like a visual of how I'm actually doing it. But I use dechlorinated water and rinse it out and make sure that there's none of the other water that they came in either on their skin or in that bag. That way it doesn't get mixed in with my water because that's where a lot of that sort of stuff travels from is within the waters. And so by doing that, I haven't really had to med any fish for a long, 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 long time. And yeah, the only time I will med a fish is if, which I have in my house here, which is the quarantine section before anything goes to the barn. So it actually stays in here a month before it goes out there. So I can watch the tank because sometimes you will see worms and other stuff start getting on the glass. And or if you see it in the fish, which luckily I haven't had to deal with that. I source my fish from good people and I don't get those problems because they take care of their fish. They're not just trying to turn and burn them. So I don't have to really deal with that. But if I did, then when it comes to medications, I would be using fenbendazole and or levamisole for those sorts of worms. But luckily, I don't have to deal with that much. But that's how I do my quarantine. And in my quarantine section, I think, God, I don't even know how many tanks I've got now. There's probably at least 20 plus. Have you bred angelfish? If so, what do you feed them? Actually, that's a short that I've been meaning to put together. Last week, my angelfish had laid eggs all over the drain pipe, and they're in a community tank, so it wasn't a whole lot I could do with them, and I couldn't just like scrape them off the pipe. But I need to get them moved into a tank and get them bred out and growing and going. But usually, you could either keep them with their parents and see if they'll actually be good. Um, parents and just take care of them. And what I would use, what I feed everything and my babies, I just crush up my fish food, which I use tetracolor tropical granules. And if you don't want to let the parents try to raise them up, the best thing to do is get like a stick of manzanita driftwood stick, or just really, you could use an oak stick from the yard, stick it in there, have it slanted up. They'll end up breeding their eggs on it. Then you can move that into another tank and then just wait for them to hatch out. And that's an easy way to do it as well. But I think it's really cool as far as an experience if you're breeding angelfish to at least one time let the parents raise them up, because when you get to see them with all their little babies, it's out of this world. It's a whole different experience. It's the cutest. David Preston says, "Good evening, Lucas. In the past, you used Deli cups under your air stones to avoid splashing. Would you be able to talk about the method behind the Deli cup lids and why you stopped doing that?" Okay, so I did end up using Deli cup lids, not just like the. You can use the cup lids, like say from McDonald's or something, and also and because there's already a hole. The deli cup lid was pretty much the same thing. It was just more of a solid piece. But what I'd do is drill a hole in the middle of it, and then I would turn it upside down. That way, the lip was underneath it, and it kind of floated. And then as the air bubbles come up, it would keep it from like splattering all over the walls, splattering all over the rims, because that bubbling, it can cause a mess. And like, my aquariums were in my house, and I didn't want that for my house. It causes a lot more humidity. And the reason why I don't use them now is because I don't use filters. I don't use airlines. I don't use any of that stuff anymore. Just let nature do the work. I've evolved. I don't know if I'm on live chat or not. Oh, here it is. It's different on. Oh no, I'm in the top chat. So sorry if I'm missing anybody's questions. I'm not used to the vertical so much. Sunny G says, "Lucas, I was thinking at one time you had said the red chin pancheks colony bred. Yeah, I think they do. I may have said that. Oh, on my phone. There we go. Wavy Day says, "Have you bred Costa tetras, and how did you do it?" So I haven't. If I were to approach them, I would use a rock pile. I would use a tank that I could dark out for a couple days or even a week or two, and feed them like once a day. But I'd have that rock pile. Actually, I'm going to be showing this kind of stuff here in the future because I have been working on some projects. It goes like real itchy. And I've got tanks set up like that where it's just like half rock piles, half sand. And then so the fish can go and scatter their eggs into the rock pile. I recently did a short about the Chopre Danios. It's the same method as that. And to where I didn't have any lights on these tanks. Eventually babies popped up. I pulled the adults out, and then now I've just got a tank full of babies. But now they do have those egg scattering things that you can buy. So I don't, what do they call them? Like a 3D printer egg scattering catcher or something? Trap? Yeah, something like that. Egg trap. But you can get those. You can hook an airline up to them, and what that does is, as they scatter their eggs on top of a piece of moss that you set on this like bowl thing, it'll push the eggs up into another container, and you could collect them that way. But with the like most tetras, especially like the Costa tetra or however you pronounce that, it will you're gonna want softer water So something around like 100 TDS, 50 TDS. Because if you have too hard water, it's too hard for the eggs to hatch out. And then also, you're just going to want to darken out the tanks. If you got too much light for them, they don't really breed as much. They can, but they won't as much as if they're in the dark. All right. Let's see. Scroll. Hello, everybody coming in. Frogs are singing. Man, they have been singing everywhere around here, too. The freaking frogs are all over my backyard and trying to get in my tubs and stuff. They're a pain in my butt. I have a frog leg fry. I've never eaten frog legs in my life. Let's see. It just doesn't sound like somebody. I'm not a fan of catfish, so I don't think frog legs would do it. 3-day weekend for me, and LRB's birthday is coming up Wednesday. Oh, that's Lady LRB. I was like, who knows about my birthday? Oh, it's like at first I thought that was Asaya saying that. I was like, Asaya, you know about my birthday? Dean Bean Cooter says, are some types of styrofoam dangerous to use under heavy rock substrate in the tanks? I personally not a fan of using styrofoam in a tank, but I mean people makeshift all kinds of stuff out of styrofoam. I've never personally used it. I can imagine I don't know if some put like anti mold inhibitors on them that could pose a threat, but I don't really know as far as that goes because I don't really have a whole lot of experience with that. And as far as like even underneath the tank, some people will put that styrofoam underneath the tank. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like it sounds like it's nice, it'll make it soft. But what eventually happens, well, if it's rimless, it's not so bad. But if it's a rim tank, don't do it. Because what'll happen is that rim, it'll settle down and then it can actually create more upward pressure up on that bottom pane and sometimes cause a leak there. Especially if the styrofoam was pretty thick. But I've never used like styrofoam for any like heavy rock or substrate. Honestly, I just freaking do it. I'm like, well, if it goes, we'll see how strong this tank is. You'd be surprised how strong they are. If the pressure is applied downward, it's different when the pressure gets applied upwards. And if you have water changes and fluctuation, that's where the problem comes with that styrofoam. Dean Beancooter, who does the best abstract fish art? I don't even know these days. I don't even know. I haven't really. I don't know. I mean, I know some people do, but I haven't really seen much as far as lately. I love fish art though. Actually, honestly, I try not to look at fish art because I've got tons of framed fish art and it just sits there. I don't have nowhere to put it. Johnny Best gifted a membership. Well, thank you, Johnny. Appreciate that. And welcome, new member. Oh, the Aquatics says, I'm trying to hatch out some Cory eggs. How much methylene blue is really necessary to prevent fuzz? None. None. You don't need methylene blue. Honestly, I'm not a fan of that stuff. You know, people are actually dosing themselves with methylene blue now, which I find to be really crazy. They have done autopsies and stuff of people who do that, and their brains literally are blue. Like that stuff travels and gets into all kinds of stuff, and it's really wild. And every time I used to use it, it would dye up my silicones. I would have less survivability from like my fry because if you don't get on them and get them out of there, It's not good for them. It's not good for them, especially for a long run, compared to just doing natural, healthy, biologically sound ecosystems. Then, I mean, just I do it naturally. That's the best way to do it. Yeah, I've never been a fan of methylene blue. Better off with green water. Green water would be so much better for them because then they can eat that at least, and that's more of a natural biome to them. So with like cory cats, especially cory cats, you want your dirtiest tank with like detritus in it and stuff because those things are going to sift through all that, and as they sift through it, that detritus, especially as they are babies, is like the majority portion of their gut biome out in the wild. And that detritus is like the brown bits of like mulm and stuff that you find in your filter. Why they call it mulm and detritus, I don't know. But it's really the same stuff. Johnny Best, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Johnny says my Insuka killifish gave me a surprise. Came me a surprise. What is it? Oh, gave you a surprise. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that above it earlier. Congrats. Congrats. House of Pisces says, "Is that a make aquariums great again hat?" No, actually, it is a Planta Claus hat. LRB Aquatics Planta Claus. Back in the day, been a while since I played Planta Claus, so I'm gonna wear a black hat, but I left it in the barn and I want to go run and get it. I've been on the live stream just like, hello, hello, and catch my breath. Well, thank you, Johnny. Willie Bond says, happy unbirthday, everybody. Yes, happy unbirthday to everybody. A merry, merry unbirthday to you. Yeah, it's our unbirthdays. It's our unbirthdays. Wesley's like, what? What's our unbirthday? Yeah, you need to watch more movies. So if it's not your birthday, it's your unbirthday. Yep. Thank you, Sonny G. I appreciate that. Everybody for the birthday wishes. Stack it on top of that Father's Day, and happy Father's Day to all you fathers coming up this weekend. Am I a Leo? No, I'm a Gemini. I'm a party in one. Johnny Best, member for 11 months. Asaya, member for 19 months. You too. And I am at the bottom of the chat, so if you got questions, that's where I'm at. Willie Bond says, I'm a Leo, but we don't take astrology serious. Yeah, I think a lot of people have commonality and they love when people say things that are great and they can believe it. It's good for the whole ego. August 8th. That's not far. All right, so we got any other aquarium questions? Let's see. I don't even know what I can ramble on at this point because I'm just used to getting into that motion. But I really am excited to be doing water changes. Sorry, I'm looking at my cats just like laying here. I am really excited to be getting water changes going. You're welcome, Messiah. Thank you for hanging out with us. Glad all you guys could. I guess I'll just let the clock tick here until you guys got questions. I can sit here. I don't know what else is there to talk about. I'm not a good small talker. Well, all right. Well, T-Shot just saved you. I was just about to pop off here. T-Shot says, just scooped a 60-gallon tank at Petco for half off. Oh, that's right. Pretty excited to set it up. Dude, awesome, T-Shot. I forgot I saw that. Yeah, Petco. You just said it, half off. You guys want a new tank? You guys been wanting a tank or another spare tank or just an encased tank or heck, even a yard tank? Now is the time to buy because that half off is the best deal that you'll get on them. But wait, there's more. And I'm not even sponsored by these guys. I just know a lot about them because, a couple hundred aquariums and I had to do it on a budget. But don't go to Petco and get the Imaginarium ones because I'm just not happy with the standard sizes that they decided to change because for somebody who has racks that are custom built, not good. And if you got a Pet Supply Plus near you, you can get them cheaper there for half off as well. And PetSmart will do the half off as well. And then you can get the old Aqueon tanks and support Aqueon and make sure that they stay alive. And sometimes you get the rimless kind of tanks too for half off. So they will like give you the half off price no matter where you're at when the Petco thing is going on. And Petco can eat it for all I care because uh like corporation is just like they used to do. I mean, I understand inflation and all that, but like the vital care stuff that you would sign up for, like used to be half off or not half off, but would give you a discount on your stuff. Well, they took that off the tanks. And so most of what you get for the vital care thing that you'd sign up and they just try to membership you money, it's not worth it anymore. And they just kind of grinded my gears changing those tanks. And then let's not even get into like how they actually keep fish. Like granted they have been getting better because there was a lot of people saying, but that all depends on stores. And I don't even buy fish from Petco. And that's for good reason too. You want to have to use meds in your tanks, buy your fish from those stores. LRB which I wish they had better fish because honestly, if they did keep healthier, better fish for people getting into the hobby, we'd have a lot more people enjoy the hobby and not have to freaking fret it so much. Johnny Best says, LRB, how often you update your website? So I update it every week. Usually Thursdays, Fridays. It says Friday is it's updated on the website, but sometimes I'll do it on Thursday. Actually, most of the time, I try to get in front of things when I can. Willie Bond 0007 says best tank to breed discus, and would you buy say 10 of the smaller ones? So the best tank to breed discus, I would say a 75 would be ideal, but if you don't have as much space and you want a more efficient tank, then you can go to like a 20-gallon high or like a 40 breeder. But I want to go in anything more shallow than that. Actually, yeah, nothing more shallow than a 20 high. 29 would be good. You can do 20 highs all day. But besides that, you do anything more than that, that's just more running room and space for them. And then also more water volume, do water changes and get them to grow bigger. Because the discus, they do need their water changes for bigger growth. Deacon Bean Cooter says, can you talk about fish tanks in the house a bit more, like a whole bunch? Can I talk about fish tanks in the house? Like, as in the quantity of tanks? So let's see, we got these two back here, five. I don't even know. Let's see, nine plus another nine, I think. 18. plus 12, 33. I got 33 tanks in the house. Wow. And then all those little containers where I got the killifish, which I hope to be getting some oteri killifish. If any of you guys know what the fun little Panchex oteri is, oh, you guys are gonna want these. Should have 4 pair of them. Ooh, and you got the Aqueon. Yeah, with that 60-gallon tea shop. I think only Aqueon makes that. Good to see that they actually do still carry like the 60 breeders, and they didn't just sell them all out and have some Aqueon. That's good to hear. Oh, and yeah, some of you guys, yeah, a lot of you guys probably don't even know. We actually used to have an old house where we had 300 plus aquariums in it, and we sold that with all the aquariums in it as its own piece of art. A pretty good price. Kato Baby Bully says, should I leave them in the deep tank or drop the water level? What were we talking about, Kato? Oh, the angel fry. Got 400 plus angel fry. Trying to keep them together with parents. Third time, still learning, I think. I mean, that's the best way to do it. You're going through the process of learning what's best and what's best for you and how to do it. And, that's what it takes. Should I leave them in the deep tank or drop the water level? I would leave them in the deep tank as long as they have the explorability to find their food. If you feel like it's a challenge for them to find their food, then maybe drop the water level, and then it would be easier for their explorability to discover that food. So I'd say use your best judgment on that. If you feel like you need to drop it, then that would help with them finding that food. Aquarium Fantasy says, Lucas, will you do a video on the new pumps? Yeah, I need to. And just keep asking me about it if I don't. Eventually I will. Because actually, right now, my freaking computer that I edit on is kaput. I don't know what happened to it. Today, I opened it up. It feels like it still has warmth to it. It still charges my phone, but it's just nothing but a black screen, and I'm not getting any like the mini controls to light up or anything. So I've got to go take it in and hopefully get that fixed soon. I'm not editing a video, like a full video on my phone. It's just too much pain. I'll do my shorts on my phone. Mexicali Fish Keeper says, I recently did a water change and wasn't paying attention and removed 80% of the water. It's a filterless tank. It's been about a week and it has cleared. Any tips? So that happens sometimes. I actually did that with a couple of my tanks recently where I'll be trying to do too many tanks and then I forget I'm emptying the one. It's like, oh, well, guess you're getting a big water change. And what usually comes out of that, especially for like a filterless, even with a filter, um, it will be either a white, milky look from the bacteria dying off from too much oxygenation or whatever that it doesn't like, and just from it being too sterile and it killing that beneficial bacteria off, then you'll get that bacteria bloom. And that's another reason why it'll come out of filters. If you have more of that beneficial bacteria in your filter and you have that white bloom, or you do a big water change. Now, I know you're talking about filterless, but I want to talk about filters too because this all kind of wraps into that. But if that filter is kept dirty, it could actually clean out that bacteria bloom that's white. So more of that dirtier filter you have, that's how you can help clear up that milky white color. Same thing with in a filterless tank, where say you have mold or detritus on the bottom of the tank. The more of that there is in that tank, the better it will bounce off from that sort of thing happening. So the more of that naturalness you have in there, the more maturity that it has, the easier it can rebalance the water from a big water removal. Because essentially that's how to look at it, as in how is the old matured seasoned water compared to the new cleaner water coming into it, and how much of a balance there is there. And then that's where the real balance comes in. And then other times it will just feed green water, so it all depends on your tank too. But that's the way I look at water, is just trying to balance that mature water with the new water. That's why small water changes are good, like better to do like 20-30%, because it's easier for that old water, seasoned water, to rebalance that new water. And hope that helps. But yeah, no, you'll be good. And you said it's been a week and it's cleared. I wouldn't worry about it. You're good, because the more it actually settles, I would say continue like with more smaller water changes. That way it's a little bit more balanced out. Johnny Best, dude, thank you so much for that $20 super chat, dude. You are amazing. Thank you. And thank you, Patrick, for the kind words. Thanks for all the advice and joy you brought to my journey in this hobby. Well, that's awesome, man. Glad I've been able to help. And thank you, Johnny, for reminding people to hit that like button. Not always the best of that. But the truth be told, the like button actually helps a lot more than a lot of the algorithm stuff that they have. Is what I've learned. I should be telling people to hit the like button a lot, but I guess I'm too concerned answering the actual fish questions, which is here to help you. So that's what I do. But maybe I'll get better at that at some point. Fish Dream says best spawning material for rainbows. So the best spawning material for rainbows would be either moss, pearlweed, and or just the spawning moth. Really, you got a planted tank. Rainbows, they'll scatter their eggs on pretty much everything. And if you really, the best spawning material would be hair algae. I know it's unsightly for some, but that stuff is gold when it comes to breeding, because those eggs get lost in that stuff. It's harder for them to eat them up. Asayalu Ellen says, Lucas, do you have any pink yellow guppies to sell? I think you called them pingu guppies. I do have some pingu guppies I could probably let go of. I may have a couple pairs. So that would be like a email me kind of thing. Email us, and then LRB Aquatics orders@gmail.com. And we'll take care of you, Asaya. Well, thank you, Kristen. That's Lady LRB's plant room back there. We did a full tour of it. She ate like some nectar in the video off of one of these things. It was weird. That's all I remember. uh, let's see. Christian B says, "Hey Lucas, I have a 55-gallon tank with sand over Eco Complete. The mulm is tan and very fluffy. It stirs up easily but settles quick. Should I leave it, cover it, or remove it? Some or all?" Honestly, that's the good stuff. That's the gold. Keep as much as that as you want, because the more of that you have in that tank, the easier it is to balance out impurities. Say if you're overfeeding, that stuff will take care of a lot of that overfeeding. Ideally, you do not want to overfeed to a point to where it causes fungus and stuff, and then it can't keep up. But just the impurities that come from broken down food, the fish waste, and stuff like that. That is the stuff doing a lot of the work in your aquarium, especially with the no filter. You could cover it too if you wanted to like top off like your substrate. You can cover it; it won't hurt nothing. But I personally would just leave it. Well, I would like to get into bonsai. This is cool. All right. I'm at the bottom of the chat. If you got a question, that's where I'm at. We've got like 9 more minutes before we hit the hour mark. Can't talk too much. You guys keep talking about bonsais in the chat now. You know, that's a rabbit hole I've been wanting to go down a long time. But I know personally, I just do not have the time for it, at least at this moment. But one day, even though that's one of those things like you want to start sooner than later because like that's one of those things that take time, a lot of time to like really get going. Would be kind of cool to have that art though, like have a little space for that art, but can't do it all. As much as I would love to do everything, that was one thing. You know, you got to come to realizations on a lot of things. Is like it's easy to want, but there's only so much time. Be smart about it. House of Pisces, are you planning any travels? So I don't really have any travels in plan right now. Since I started this build here and I've got the water change system going, honestly, I just want to just like stick my nose into those tanks and that build like no other. Like that's all I really want to spend my time doing. And then I want to get that done and reset, and then everything will be kind of more set where I want it to be. It'll be at the volumes I want it to be, and I'll focus way more on editing. But a lot of you guys who have been following me for a long time know I go through like these phases where I will do like tons of videos for like a month, and then I'll do like hardly just a few for a month, and then I'll do a ton a month. It's all a balance thing. And when you're keeping hundreds of aquariums by yourself, on top of doing everything else that life throws you, because trust me, life always throws you different side missions, and you got to balance them. All about balance, just like our tanks. But I do hope to get to some tours here, maybe here in a couple months. We'll get around doing more of that stuff. Johnny Best says, LRB, what's the good benefit with mulm? So I would say the best benefit with mulm is just the fact that it has the beneficial bacterias to digest those impurities that tanks may have from like your food. So let's say you've got fish food. Your fish eat it, and trust me, they don't always eat all of it. Crumbs go everywhere. There's who knows what ingredients in these fish foods, and it gets into the water column and stuff. And so, like these bacterias can break down that other microbiology stuff that may not get consumed, stuff like that. It also helps with the waste and poop and ammonia from the fish. So it does a lot of good benefit for them. And that's why filters are good because it holds a lot of that mold and beneficial bacteria. And it's why it's not good to fully clean those filters out. But hey, kitty, kitty, she's trying to eat your sandwich. Jeez, I'm trying to eat Subway over here. Sponsored, not. Would be nice. Get some free subs. But a Great Lake says, "Hey Lucas, have you ever kept crebensis?" So I have not. Um, I've almost pulled the trigger on them so many times. That was actually one of the first fish I was going to start breeding here when I first started the fish room, because they are a really good fish to like breed out, or what they call breeding for profit. They are a good fish for that because they breed pretty well, and also super easy to take care of, pretty common. Lots of people want them. But I've never actually personally done it because I don't know. I felt like that was like one of those fish that like I didn't have to worry about breeding so much. Or I mean, I know I do guppies. I feel like they're the same as guppies, but they actually probably produce way more for you. So I don't know. I just never personally have. I've wanted to. Maybe one day I will, because they're beautiful fish. Really beautiful. Really fun to watch. Cool in communities. Ligma says, "Hey, do you have room 40? What is room 40?" I saw a really colorful pair at the local fish store called a Malloy crib. Uh, yeah, I think they do have a few different types of cribs. I don't know if they're like more or less being bred for genetics. Room 40's nuts in your paludarium. Got 'em. Oh, Ligma. How would I guess that you would do something like that to me? Well, that's pretty good. And yes, there's plenty of room for your little nuts. I'm just kidding. They're probably huge, especially if you're a subscriber. All right, I'm at the bottom of the chat, so if that's where I'm at, if you got a question, I think we got like 2.5 minutes here. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. Says thanks for everything you do for the hobby, for the amount of tanks you have managed, all just one person. I salute you. Well, I do a lot of this to help show you guys what's actually possible. And to be honest, like the amount of work I really put in my tanks for like this whole last year, or really dang near 3 years, besides like construction and building up, like the maintenance and whatnot has been minimal. Actually been really lucky to not like be a slave to it all, because it's easy to create that. And it's one thing when you're keeping 14 tanks, 30 tanks, you kind of learn these things as you go on. And that's why I keep my tanks how I keep my tanks, because it makes it so much more manageable. So if I can help you guys make your tanks more manageable with less effort and more enjoyment, ideally that is my biggest message and what I'm trying to get out for you guys. Lingman says, real question, any suggestions for a biotype for a knife fish? So you're going to want a pretty decent sized tank so you can actually do decent sized plants like Amazon swords and stuff like that are easy to grow. And it'd be cool to watch them like swim in and out of the Amazon sword. They're a tank buster, so I would say like 75 gallon. I've seen Amazon sword one take over a whole 40 gallons, so those things can grow big just with just one plant. And then Valsinaria would be a really cool option too, because if you get the reeds of the Valsinaria and that knife fish coming in and out of it, it would be gorgeous. And anytime you can add a floating plant like pearlweed, I wouldn't say guppy grass. Guppy grass is good. I mean, I would say for a knife fish, personally, I would do pearlweed as the floater. You can do some stem plants, but it takes a long time to even get that going with like Eurotalias, and you float them. Actually, if you go to LRB Aquatics, unusual floating plants. There's tons of options there. But I would definitely add one of those because that just makes a lot of fish feel safe. And knife fish are actually kind of skittish, although they're predatory. Um, if you have that overhead for them, it will make them so much more comfortable. You'll see more better behavior out of them than you would see otherwise. And Ligma says Wallstead method. Yeah, so it's pretty much a lot like the Wallstead method. Absolutely love her. Met her many times. Actually got some shorts done. I've never did like a full out video with her, but I do love what she does. But I pretty much do the same thing, just minus the filter and minus all the science. Like if you ever seen her book is like way scientific, like way detailed, like got algorithms for this stuff. Mine's more layman's terms, and try to keep it simple here. All the without all the fluff. I was putting cultures in my dirted tank this last week. Today I found dead shrimp, and I've never seen it in 6 months. I've set it up. It was in a resurrection jar. You know, you got to be careful with those resurrection jars because what you're actually adding into those aquariums, sometimes you may not want in that aquarium. And there is a lot more out there in freshwater than we really discuss as far as like your standard hydra, planera, and stuff like that. There's a lot of other unwanteds that you do not want to get. And if you don't understand what you're putting in there, it can be problematic. But a good thing about a resurrection jar, it does give you an opportunity to see kind of what will come out of it. But like you mentioned, you saw a shrimp that you didn't even know was in there. It's a gamble. Definitely a gamble using those. Oh yeah, you seen that book? You know what I'm talking about. Just got some chalgudias from you coming in tomorrow here in Cali. Thanks, by the way. Well, thank you, South Bay Sapphires. Appreciate you in that order. And yeah, those chalgudias, they're awesome. I absolutely love those. I gave them a water change today. All right, well, I'm at the bottom of the chat. I see no more questions. We're an hour over. And I appreciate all you guys joining and discussing aquariums because this is how I learn as well, not only just for you guys. So I appreciate you, and I hope you guys all have a great weekend. And thanks for joining. I'm gonna cut it off like a band-aid. Rip. Da 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 da. Got him.